Okay, in this video, we're just going to talk about how to use this website that I'm pointing you to. Now, it uses JavaScript, so you have to make sure that's enabled. I'm using Edge browser. I know it works in Chrome and all sorts of other browsers. So just kind of, if it's not working in one, try to play around in another, and make sure JavaScript is enabled. You don't need Java, just JavaScript. Okay. Now, what we're looking at here is a very complicated graph, and it's coming from this equation right here. That's their default. So what we're going to do is we can get rid of that, and we're going to just whoops, it didn't like that syntax error. It doesn't like that I had a blank something in there. All right, here we go. So we got rid of it. Now, if I wanted to type in, I don't know, let's just do something simple. X plus y. If I hit enter, now notice it's going to give us a nice little graph that we can kind of play with. And you can click on it and drag, and you can get it to rotate, and you can look at it in different directions. And that's basically it. Now, what always happens to students is they get themselves to some weird, oh, and if you give it a little spin, it'll start rotating. It's kind of fun. Now, let me stop that because I'm sure some people are just going to stare at that the entire time. All right, so now if we get ourselves to a place where we need to reset the graph, we say, all right, I'm stuck now, what do I do? That's what these little arrows are for the top left hand corner. If you click that, it'll just put everything back to where we started. It's kind of like refreshing the page, and now we know where we are. Okay, next, let's put in the graph that we were looking at in the notes. Let's put in the x squared plus y squared. How do we do that? Well, all right, let's get rid of this equation in this area here. Now, what we're going to type it in is how we're going to type it in is the exact same way you would on your calculator or in pretty much any programming language. You're going to type in just x caret 2 squared 2 plus y caret 2. Now, when we hit enter, we get that graph that I was kind of showing you the other day, or showing you in the notes, which is, let me see, yeah, I can't do that. Whoops, I can rotate it with my finger, but I can't pinch zoom it. Anyway, so we get what I was talking about is a parabola in the x direction. Do you see that little U kind of showing up? And then if I rotate it around, whoops, should not have used my finger. Well, that is a parabola in the y direction as well. So you realize, so you see, no matter how we rotate it, it's just always a parabola. That's kind of leaning sideways now. And as I said in the notes, if you kind of do cross sections, if you look from the top, it's a circle, right? It comes from the top, it's a circle. So that's what that graph looks like. So now, what I want you to do is think about how would you type in z equals the square root of x squared plus y squared. Now, there is a special square root call out that you could use, but I prefer not to use that. I want you to think about how would you do that using exponents. Think about how you would type that in. Pause the video, give it a shot, and then unpause the video. Okay, here we go. I hope you tried it. Here's how I would do it. I'm going to look at it as saying all of this, whoops, it didn't like that I went to use my pen. All of this is all in a square root. And square roots can be rewritten as a power of 1/2, right? We did a lot of that in calculus. So therefore, what I'm going to do is just rewrite this as, there we go, parenthesis, x squared plus y squared all raised. Now, the trick to the 1/2 is we have to use parentheses 1 divided by 2. All right, so now when we hit enter, pretty cool, pretty cool. So now what you'll recognize is these no longer have a curve to them. They look a little straight. So, and if you look at the edges from the sides, they're not circles anymore. Now we're getting straight lines to the sides. Anyway, it's kind of fun. This is a cone, right? So nonetheless, this is how we use this graphing tool. So in your homework, whenever they talk about graphing, I expect you to graph nothing by hand. I don't care. Okay. What I want you to do is just kind of think about visually, what would this look like? And then just go to the use this graphing tool, help you visualize what you're talking about and how we're going to talk about it. Because again, the eventual goal is minimization and maximization. and we're going to end up looking at surfaces that look something like this. So if you want to, you can always pop in our equations that we're doing in class and put them in here and say, oh, look, I have a maximum here and a maximum here and a minimum there. And you'll get to kind of look around and figure out what mins and maxes look like and saddle points. And there's all sorts of fun things that's coming. Okay, but for now, just play. That's all I want you to do with this. Play, and you'll see there's all sorts of options, but generally speaking, you're good with these. Now, there is one little caveat that happens sometimes. What if a problem, instead of being z equals, what if it looks something like this? X equals yz. Well, I just want to point out, when you say this little area right here says add to graph, if I do a drop down, and I can say I need an x equals, and now it'll give me a graph here where I can type in a x equals, and I can type in yz, for example. Let me get rid of the old graph. Doo-doo. And there we go. Now that is the graph of x equals yz.